What's up, you guys? It's your boy Kevin 2 back here with another video, and today I am basically just going to be telling you my thoughts on the Batman. Obviously, the movie hasn't come out yet, but this is just me going to be giving my thoughts on what I think might happen in the movie, talking about like what we already know about it and what I think about that. So, yeah, let's just get right into it. So, as the roles go, I do definitely think that Robert Pattinson as Batman will turn out pretty good. I mean, obviously, I've seen the way he's acted in the trailers and a few of the scenes that, like, full leak scenes that we've gotten. And, he does give off a very intimidating vibe of Batman. And I really love that they're going to be, doing the storyline of Batman where they're making him more of a detective. Obviously, he's known as the world's greatest detective, but we haven't really ever seen that in the movies before, and I'm really glad that they're deciding to do that. And as for Riddler, I do think Paul Dano will do a great job with this character. What I've seen is both a mysterious and intimidating supervillain. Obviously, here's the thing. I didn't really talk about this with Batman, but the Riddler, the Riddler's look, you know, I like it. I do like it. It makes him look like more mysterious, more, of a questionable person. Because, I mean, the Riddler, he should probably be, masked. That, and, he's definitely a lot more covered up in this movie, both like literally and figuratively, and just dropping clues. And obviously, yeah, the movie hasn't come out yet, but that's what it looks like it's gonna be. So yeah, his costume, I kind of would prefer you know, the more traditional one, but I do like this one, and I'm glad, even though there's a lot different about it, I'm glad they still stuck to green. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on the costume. And if you want my thoughts on the Batman, this costume I think is just spot on. It's just perfect. I love, the cowl. I like how like it doesn't have anything on the chin. That's just kind of completely open. I like how it's kind of black on black with like the bat, but they still make the bat stick out on the chest. I do really like the fact that he has those gauntlet things on his wrist. I'm not sure what they are, but I mean they do look pretty cool and add something to it. And as for the cape, I think the cape has like a pretty good how should I say it, length for Batman. And I do know that we're also going to be getting and I do know that we were also going to be getting a wingsuit. So that's not going to be his cape actually, that is going to be a wingsuit. And if you're wondering what image you're seeing here, that's him flying across the buildings. It's a really quick shot in the trailer. So yeah, but when I first saw it, I was thinking, yeah, that's probably not his cape. So I really do like that they're going to be adding that. As for Catwoman, I I think this version of the character is going to be the best one that we've actually seen so far. She's definitely not really going to be much of a villain in this one. Maybe, kind of a small criminal at first, I think. But for the most of the movie, she's probably just going to be helping Batman. And I like what they did with just giving her a ski mask instead. I mean, I really love how it just kind of, the way it sits on her head, it makes it look like she has cat ears. It's weird, but it's okay. I know this Batman movie is definitely going to be different. It's the characters will, are looking a lot different. So that's my thoughts on that. Um, and again, the character, very different. I think we're kind of going to see more of Selena Kyle than actually Catwoman. And I think you kind of get what I mean when I say that. Um, because obviously, a lot of the stuff we've seen her without a mask, which is cool. And even on some of the merchandise, they've called her Selena Kyle instead of Catwoman, which is a little weird, but it's interesting. It's very interesting. Moving on to, I do think this version of the Penguin is definitely going to be the best one we've gotten live action so far. Sorry, Danny DeVito, but I'm just kind of seeing it more here, and I think this one's gonna be more like, clearly, more of like just a crime boss more than an actual villain, which still a villain, but I think it's going to be definitely not the same as the Batman Returns Penguin. This is definitely looking to be I guess a lot more sane version of the character. More human, I'd say. I'm not really sure how else to describe it. Why'd you not give my man a top hat? I mean, he looks a lot like the character, even without the top hat, but like, giving him a top hat and a monocle, too, that would have just gave a little, final touch on the character. But, I mean, his face, with the scars and everything, and can't really see it on this image, but I'm pretty sure in some of them, and I don't know if you can see it in this image, but I think his nose is, like, in some images, I've seen it, like, really pointy, like it is in, like, the comics and whatnot, and I think they might do that here. I'm not sure. It doesn't really look that much like it in these images, but they might, like, midway through the film he might get into an accident or something. I don't know. That's just my thoughts, like, on the look of the character. And moving on to Alfred, I think they made a really good decision casting Andy Serkis as Alfred. And, it kind of gives, like, a good age difference between him and Bruce, since Bruce is going to be, like, I don't know, maybe, like, what, 30 in this movie or something? And Andy Serkis being in, like, I think he's in, like, maybe his early 50s, something like that. I think it's definitely the right age for him. And I like that we're kind of getting a, younger Alfred. I like seeing the slightly younger Alfreds because they're always more involved, I'd say. And it even states in the prequel novel that was made for this movie that he actually trains Batman. And man, I really like that kind of Alfred that they do. And yeah, I think this is going to be a good version of the character. So yeah. As for Commissioner Gordon, I'm not exactly sure what to think about this character yet. I have seen the few scenes with him in it. And I know this is going to sound weird, but I'm just going to go right on and say it. I think his voice sounds like too, like, low and raspy. Like, when I saw one of the scenes, the scene where, spoiler alert, I mean, I guess, if you want to call it a spoiler, where Batman, like, escapes out of, the police station with his grappling hook. Look, it's on YouTube, so I'm guessing it's not a spoiler. He was talking to Batman, and it was him talking. It was Commissioner Gordon talking. But at first I was thinking it was actually Batman because the way his voice was.
like his voice was more raspy than Batman's, and I don't know if that's on purpose. Because I mean, I don't really like Batman having a raspy voice. Like I definitely liked. I've heard Pattinson's version of like the character, like the way he does Batman when he's talking. And I like, it's like low, but it doesn't sound like he's like gargling nails or anything. And it's just weird. Like it kind of sounded like they were doing it for Commissioner Gordon. I don't know, but he does seem kind of intimidating though. Commissioner Gordon does. And another thing I actually have to say about this Batman, I honestly just love the way that another way that they're doing this kind of, world's greatest detective thing is it's like he's basically just, going to a crime scene with the police, just like so casually and helping them out. That's just so epic. I know that in the Nolan films, when we saw Batman with Commissioner Gordon, it was like when no one else was around. Like he wasn't necessarily. It was like he wasn't allowed to talk to Batman, and I just love how they're gonna be Batman and like the whole police force is just going to be communicating more. I think which is going to happen, and I think this scene shows that. So yeah, I like the way that they're doing that. Because I think in a lot of the comics they work together a lot more. And, what was kind of weird to me about the Nolan films, when I used to watch them when I was, like, younger, I used to think that the cops would always go after Batman if he was doing something. Like, I thought that Batman wasn't actually, like, they thought he was a criminal or whatever. Like, I think that's how it was in the Batman cartoon from 2004. If you guys have never heard of that, I've seen it. It's a pretty cool Batman series. But like in the first season or whatever, or at least the first like half of the first season, like the cops treated Batman like as a criminal. So yeah, but I like the way that they're doing this in this movie now. Now, let's talk about the Batcave. I really love what they're doing with the cave in this movie. So, essentially, what it is it's an underground railway system, but it's not like, a public subway. It's actually connecting the Wayne Manor to Wayne Enterprises, which is what they used which is what Thomas and Martha Wayne used for getting to Wayne Enterprises. They don't have to deal with traffic in Gotham or whatever. It said that in the prequel novel, and now it's abandoned, and Bruce is using it as his Batcave, which I think is really cool. And you might be thinking, well, it's not a cave; it's just a railway system. Well, if you pay attention to the trailers, it is still a cave. There's, rocks around it. In some of the images, you can see bats flying through it and, like, the rocks above it. Unfortunately, I can't exactly find one of those images right now. But, yes, it is still going to be a cave. And as for the Batmobile, man, I have a lot to say about this thing. I want to start off by saying that at first when I saw this, I did not like it. Nothing about it to me looked like a bat. But now that I've looked at it more, I gotta say, I really like it. You gotta remember, in this movie, Batman is only in year 2 of being... Bruce is only in year 2 of being Batman. So, it's gonna start out with something like this. And, it looks like something that Batman might still drive. A sports car. Very, edgy. Um, but yeah, I even love the inclusion of, like, stuff like the blue fire coming out of the back and the sides too, actually. That's epic, because I don't think I've ever seen any version of Batman where, you know, it it runs on blue fire or whatever. Where the Batmobile does, and here it's just really, really cool and interesting to see. And it's even said in the prequel novel, he built this, like, modified it. He got, a sports car and modified it to be like this, and he built it at 16 years old. 16! He built in, like, this kind of engine. And that's really cool. That's insane. And I really think it's going to be awesome seeing this Batmobile in it. So, final thoughts on this movie? I have a lot to say. First of all, I just wanted to say, about a year ago when I first heard about this movie, and I saw the trailer for it, the original teaser, I wasn't impressed. I really wasn't. I was not excited for this movie, really. My interest in DC was at an all-time low, though, I'd say. But now, I'm like really hyped for this movie. I think this is going to be insane. This is like no other, like, movie that we've seen in a while, just period, I think. I like that it's gonna be darker, but also not necessarily, like, depressing or anything. I don't think it's going to be depressing. And I think it's really awesome how they're, like, able to make this look, kind of dark and grim, I guess, without making it rated R, some people are saying that this is looking way too much like a Nolan film, and I kind of understand where they're coming from, but I definitely think that Matt Reeves is, doing his own thing with certain concepts, like the art, the characters' attitudes, all that stuff. It's a lot different. I think it's going to be a lot different than the Nolan films. The trailers have definitely been dark, so that's what I'm expecting a lot of the movie to be, and like literally dark, not figuratively. And while I do think that is going to be true, I definitely think all the battles are going to take place at night, which is what I definitely think Batman should be. So those are my final thoughts on it, and I really hope I can see this movie the first day it comes out, hopefully. And yeah, I think it's going to be epic. Can't wait to see Pattinson. And yeah, that's my thoughts. And if you guys like this video, remember to leave a like, comment, subscribe if you can. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.